Right guys, hello there, and it's happy fun shenanigan time. Well, not really, but it is time to take a look at Mangog's Champion Spotlight, or what at the very least I can consider as most of it. Right, so apparently Kabam made a boo-boo last night, and Mangog's Champion Spotlight was available on their site as unlisted page, and they did take it off quite quickly. However, at this morning you can already find on the Reddit, and I had people message me over as a PDF file as well, and yeah, so basically it's out there, and since it is, I might as well talk about it. Now, there will be some lines of text missing, which are basically because of these page overlays and how they're mounted, but we do have a very good general gist of what Mangog is going to be and how he is going to work. Right, so I'm not going to read all the about things. You can just kind of pause the video at any given time if you want to read all the flavor text. But let's jump to the most important thing. So Prestige seems, again, alright, not insane. I do not see the 6-star rank 3 level prestige here, but based on where the 5-star rank 5 prestige is, it seems at the same level of basically every champion that they have been releasing over the last year or so. It's good, not amazing, it's not Thor Ragnarok, it's not Solar Surfer, it's not Doctor Doom, it's workable, so to speak. When it comes to character class, Mangog is going to be a Mystic champion, which I find is quite fitting. He was always going to be either Cosmic or Mystic, but there we go. A new Mystic champion. That class is getting a lot of love recently, and Mangog looks like a very good addition to the class, to be honest. Now, obviously, you should reserve your final judgments up until this champion's actually in game, and we can see how practical he is, and what are the exact numbers, and what are the exact animations, and how his rotation works, and all of those things. But looking on the paper, he looks like a very good champion, and I'm definitely interested in getting my hands on one of these. Right. So I'm again not gonna go over strengths, good immunities, great damage potential, buff removal, double edge mastery friendly, because he's bleed immune. Weaknesses, evade, petrify abilities, and opponent on hit effects, and energy resistance. Right, fine. Let's jump to the actual abilities now. This is all based on a rank 5 5-star. Always active. Immune to armor break debuffs and all bleed effects. So bleed immune Mystic, which is not too frequent. I like that a lot already. Because Mystics typically don't like Suicide Masteries too much and are extremely reliant on Mystic Dispersion. This guy doesn't look like that much, so at the very least you can definitely run him with Suicide Masteries, because he also has an ability that reduces recoil damage by half. So on top of being bleed immune, is definitely quite awesome, and I like that. Also, Mangog suffers minus 40% combat power rate, instead gaining 5% of bar power every second while below 2 full bars of power. And I absolutely love this bit. Now, obviously, minus 40% combat power rate isn't ideal, but you can see that you are gaining power over time no matter what you do, and it is quite often much more useful to get your power that way, because if you're struggling to bait out opponent's special attack or whatever, and it's not like he's not gaining power with basic attacks. Anyways, one thing in particular that I do like here is that this time they have went with combat power rate rather than offensive power rate, and that means that he doesn't have any special exceptions on defense. Like we can see, for instance, with Dragon Man, you gain less power when you strike the opponents, but if you're fighting against Dragon Man, he gains normal amount of power, making him harder to fight against. And the fact that this is for both, I do like that quite a bit. Right, also, if struck while unstoppable, gain a non-stacking fury granting 2617 attack rating for 10 seconds. Now, that is exactly the attack rating of his base attack, so he basically gets 100% attack increase over 10 seconds if struck while unstoppable. Now, it sounds quite cool, because in theory it should be relatively easy to access it, but again, I'm not sure how I feel about trying to get hit on purpose. I really don't, but we'll see how the implementation of this ability is. I typically don't like getting hit in fights. I don't know about you guys. And yeah, gonna be dicey. Keep an eye on Mangog's unstoppable buff later on in his kit. While he's unstoppable, it's a good idea sometimes to eat an attack on purpose to get this chunky fury. Do this while enraged and you'll take very little damage, especially if his signature ability is unlocked. Okay. We can start with his base mechanic, kind of like hatred. Hatred of billion beings. Mangog starts with 3 hatred. Hatred is unaffected by ability accuracy reduction, cannot be gained more than once every 0.2 seconds. Gain 1 hatred each time either champion finishes a 5-hit combo. Gain +1 hatred when nullifying a buff. Each stack of hatred grants the following: 233 energy resistance, 67 armor rating, and 60 critical rating. So he is going to hit a bit harder the more hatred you have, especially because there are some additional stats in the SIG. The whole hatred building mechanic is going to be more or less very similar to Sasquatch by the looks of it. And yeah, quick pro tip here immediately. If you are going up against this guy, you probably want to stick to 4-hit combos, because if you do not finish your combo, then he's not going to gain these. And unless he nullifies a buff, then he doesn't seem to have external ways of acquiring hatred easily. And while Mangog's base stats aren't great, he gets a ton of his power from building hatred. Without hatred, he will dwindle to near nothingness. Keep this in mind when you fight against him. Exactly. So here comes the finish, the 4-hit combos. Now, here I seem to be missing a bit of text. Oh, wait, actually. Okay, not that maybe. 1 second. Let's drop this down. Go new text document. Here we go. Enrage. Activating a special attack with... Oh, you guys can't see that. Okay, just give me a second. Where's the display capture? Here we go. Enraged. Activating a special attack with 10 stacks of hatred triggers Enrage. That's very simple. So if you drop a special with 10 stacks of hatred, you get Enraged, causing hatred to fall off over 8 seconds after the special attack ends. Okay, cool. While enraged, each time Mangog would gain hatred, enrage is paused for 3 seconds instead. It's very important, so in theory, you should be able to keep up that enrage for a quite long time if you can finish your combos with 5 hits and nullify buffs, so on and so forth. Take 50% less damage from enemy attacks and the recoil mastery. Now that is quite cool. So while enraged, you can kind of go ham, because you take half the amount of damage you otherwise would. So let's jump to the further abilities now. Gain an indefinite unstoppable buff. This is removed when enrage expires or if Mangog is struck by a special attack. So you're going to be permanently enraged. Sorry, you're going to be permanently unstoppable while in enrage. That's kind of cool. The only thing is you can't eat special attacks. So that's going to be very annoying on defense. During special attacks 1 and 2, gain an indefinite unblockable buff. Unblockable special attacks, no surprise there. Basic attacks that make contact with the opponent that has 70% chance to inflict a 14% staggered debuff. A staggered opponent has the next buff nullified, and this would also be very helpful in keeping your enrage active if opponent's getting buffs. So there seems like kind of cheesy, super aggressive mechanic where in good matchup you can technically keep being enraged indefinitely and you're consistently unstoppable and all your specials are unblockable and you take less damage. Oh, that does look quite crazy, to be honest. Mangog has many ways how to use his enrage. Choosing what special attack to use trigger will cater to different playstyles, but it goes beyond this. While enraged, landing lots of attacks will keep enrage up longer and inflicts a ton of staggers, or players can go up to charge their heavy attack as long as and go for big burst damage. Cool. Speaking of heavy attacks can be held for an extended duration of time and deals a burst up to 13,000 energy damage based on the charge time. So you can basically have like a big burst of damage on your heavy attacks. While Enrage is not active, consume 2 hatred to inflict an armor break debuff for 15 seconds, reducing armor rating for 233. Now, I think this isn't going to be used as a piece of damage. I think this is going to be utility when you need to access armor break, because the armor break's tiny and it costs 2 hatred. So I don't think this is going to be kind of like one of the go-to core mechanics, but it's better that it's in there than it's not, I believe. So, hey, fair play. Also, while Enrage, gain 220% ability power rate while charging. And this is quite cool. It's kind of like Airwalker, with the difference, though, that you're unstoppable and you take less damage. And this is how Airwalker's ability probably should have worked, where you just gain a lot of power from your power, from your persistent power gain, basically. So that does look quite interesting as well. Special 1, Flurry of Hatred. On activation, gain 2 hatred. This bypasses the gain cooldown. Fair enough. The second and final hits inflict stagger for debuff for 14 seconds. Okay, a little bit of something mysticky in here. If Enrage, gain a non-stacking energy protection buff, granting full immunity to shock, incinerate, cold snap, and frostbite effects for 15 seconds. The buff is paused while enraged. And this is what I really do like. Because it does look that you will have to give up most of your damage to keep it up, but in theory, in some matchups, you should be able to keep this up for most of the fight. It's obviously not as good, it's not as useful as full-on flat-out immunities, but if you combine his immunity to armor break, bleed, and here you have access to shock, incinerate, cold snap, and frostbite effects, then that alone makes him very, very unique in Mystic class, when he's kind of like suicide-friendly, full with immunities type of Mystic champion, and by the sound of it, I think it's exactly what Mystic class needs, and it's exactly what kind of champion I would want from a Mystic class. So yeah, I look forward for this guy to get released. Right, let's take a look at Special 2. I actually didn't read it properly before because I didn't think I can. So let's go back to the notepad here. And let's bring it back up here. Let's take a look at his special attack then. Special 2, Energy Cannon. Whoopsie, my bad. Here we go. Each hit deals a burst of 1,177 energy damage. Cool. The first hit steals the opponent's power above their nearest full bar. Above their nearest full bar. If they have less than 1 full bar of power, all their power is stolen. Mangog gains 100% of the power stolen from this. Ooh, this looks juicy. This looks very juicy. If enraged, the final hit will inflict a stun debuff for 3 seconds. If the opponent is struck, this stun is removed. But that will give you time to charge that heavy attack, and then you don't need to worry about that. But it's fair enough. It's best used when the opponent is just a hair below 1 full bar of power. This will steal the max possible power from the opponent and will leave them with nothing. While enraged, this is a great moment to start charging that heavy attack. That's about right. That does look like it could be juicy amount of damage, and it is quite interesting. Actually, we're gonna need this later. So level 2, basically, like often is going to be the damage special attack. Level 1 is the utility special attack. Special 3, nullify up to 10 buffs from the opponent. Gain a non-stacking regeneration buff, healing 800 health, base health over 5 seconds. This is increased by additional same amount for each buff that was nullified during this way. So if you nullify a ton of buffs, you can heal a lot. If opponent doesn't have buffs to nullify, it's kind of like a pointless special attack. But hey, it can be helpful in some situations. Again, it's better that he has access to this than he doesn't. It's not going to be something you realistically use all the time, but it's good to have. If enraged, this attack inflicts stun debuff for 2 seconds. Fair enough. And signature ability. Let's take a look at that. Each time a stagger expires naturally in the opponent, Mangog has 25% chance to gain 1 hatred. I don't think that's too important. While unstoppable, Mangog passively regenerates 20% of incoming hit damage instantly. Now, I think that is quite useful, because if you plan to take a hit in the face, gain 78.5 attack rating per hatred. You can get up to max 10 hatred, and that means 780 attack rating, which is not the biggest amount. It's like 25%, I think it's about 25%. Fury, so it's really not that big of a deal. Gain 8.43 critical damage rating per hatred. it's neat. It's again a little bit more damage. So overall, I don't really think he needs to be awakened. Quite honestly, I don't think he's a champion that really needs to be awakened. It even says here Mangog does not need a high sig level on his signature ability. However, with it, he's able to boost his numbers significantly and regenerate back most of the chip damage he might take while charging up his heavy attack while unstoppable. Well, I don't know about significantly, but yeah, fair enough. Let's look at the synergies. So we have synergy with Loki. Mangog started fight with one full bar power. I love these synergies. These are very useful synergies. Love them. Too bad it's with Loki. Gain 10% attack rating for each unique buff that is active. It's okay. It's not crazy. Let's read these ones, because I couldn't before, and it'll be interesting to do so now. Let's bring back this notepad. It's weird how things work. Rage on with Kingpin, Hulk, Immortal, Wolverine, Weapon X, Solo Synergy. Mangog, when becoming enraged, inflict the opponent with a 5-second suppression debuff, reducing their defensive combat power rate by 30%. I mean, it's okay. And it's just Solo Synergy, but it's neat. Energy Absorption with Bishop and Havoc, unique synergy. All synergy champions once per fight, when struck by an energy attack, inflict the opponent with a stun debuff for 1.2. This is actually quite cheesy. Don't think it's gonna be great, but it could work out well. I kind of like this idea. When you get struck by an energy attack, you just randomly stun the opponent. Then Bishop plus 25% regeneration rate and 30% prowess potency. That could actually make a difference to Bishop. But too bad, Bishop kind of sucks. And then we have Havoc plus 5% combat power rate and 20% ability power rate. Now that is, I think, very cool. Havoc gains more power, quicker get to those level 3s. Could be very, very, very useful, especially combined with the Wasp synergy. So that's quite interesting. Now Banished with Hulk, Black Widow, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Iron Man. I hoped OG Thor would be in this one, because Mangog, while enraged, all attacks deal a burst of energy damage equal to 6% of modified attack, which is like alright, nothing special. And when you start the fight with an indefinite passive fury granting 10% attack rating, again, since it's passive, I don't think it matters too much here. If it was active fury, then it would be very cool for Hulk, because he would get his stun increase. Also, if you would bring in OG Thor, then OG Thor would get benefit from that. But yeah, if it's passive fury, I'm not fast about this synergy. Banished with Hulk, Black. Oh, I read this one. Fueled with Rage, Mangog, become immune to Nullify each time Nullify is prevented. Gain a non-stacking precision buff granting 350 critical rating for 15 seconds. This is quite cool with Odin. You become immune to Nullify. Why not? That will also work against like a buffet node. So it's neat. Odin, when dealing a burst of direct damage using special 2 attack, the damage threshold of each burst is increased by 150% of Odin's base attack rating. This maybe is going to be good with Odin, but let's face it, we don't really know. And that's about it. That is Mangog. So it is quite lengthy ability description. And I'm not going to draw any final conclusions, quite obviously, but I personally am quite excited. I definitely want to see more. I want to hear more about the champion. I think if his numbers are good enough, he definitely has a lot of potential by potentially being immune to a whole bunch of stuff throughout the entire fight, or going into like kind of like big damage mode. But again, all of that thing depends on how well he actually plays, how well his kit comes together, exactly what his animations are, and all that other stuff. But for now, based on what I have read, I do not discount him from being one of the top Mystic champions, especially due to the fact that he is quite suicide friendly, because he takes like half a recoil damage, and also based on the fact that he's bleed immune, like that. He can have a ton of other immunities. And yeah, he has staggers and like a big nullifier on his level 3. So there's a lot to be interested about, and I'm very, very happy that he's coming, and so far looks so good. That would be my final conclusion. Looks quite good. Anyways, that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video, and if you have, then hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the cool buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information